What's up, folks? Welcome in. It's the weekend update, or Freaky Friday, if you will, edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Wade Neely and Chris Yao with you guys for the next 2 hours, breaking down all things sports from preps to pros in and around southern Middle Tennessee, in and around the Southeast, in and around the greater United States of America. It is the weekend update, and we've got a jam-packed show lined up for you guys today, presented as always, once again, by TOA of Columbia. We come to you on this Friday from the Lee Company Mobile Studios back in Nashville here. Chris is back in Columbia today. And Chris, the weekend, it is upon us, my friend. I can feel it in my bones.
Oh, it is indeed. And man, what a weekend it's going to be. Got a lot of exciting things going on over the weekend. We're going to tell you about a lot of them here shortly. I'll tell you, man, this has been a throwback for me. Having been here all week, it's kind of weird knowing that I will not be back for 5 days next week.
You know, my mom asked me that just a little bit ago. We were catching up, and she's been tuning into the shows for the last couple of weeks. But she asked me that. She said, "How's Chris holding up? Is he doing okay?" I said, "I think it's like riding a bike." So I guess I'll ask you: is it kind of like riding a bike? You know, you're back in the grind.
I'll tell you, I am more in tune with what's going on in the world of sports this week than I have been. Yeah, it's not about. Once you get into the 2:00 hour, it's pretty easy to do, but it's the lead up, it's the preparation, all of the things that go into the 2:00 show that gets a little, tough little when you're not used to it.
Yeah, for sure. And you've done a great job being with us all this week. I certainly appreciate your efforts. I know our viewers appreciate that. And Mo Patton scheduled to rejoin us next week, final day of vacay, as Mo will return hopefully to the studios on Monday. It's going to be a big show, as we mentioned. We got our top story coming up in just a matter of moments. A big hire for a historic program. That's coming your way here in just a few. We'll also speak to Carlos Rodriguez from the Nashville Sounds in our first segment out of the break. As they continue their series versus Omaha. We'll catch up with Carlos there. We'll have Braves and MLB chatter. This day in Braves history, of course. Should be a fun one in this day in Braves history. I'm not going to say much more on that. Just stay tuned, as that will be good. Coming up in the 3:00 hour, we'll speak to Dr. Zach PHARR, who's with TOA of Columbia. Our good friend and Pulaski Citizen publisher Scott Stewart is in Columbia on hand, and we'll talk with Dr. PHARR as we give you an update on all the good things that TOA of Columbia's got going on there. And then we will have a really just a fun back half of the show. I think we got a lot of NCAA business news to get into. FedEx is
a lot of NCAA news to get into, as about an hour ago, some more news dropped for in-game college football news. So it's going to be, man, the second hour is going to be jam-packed with cool stuff.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great Friday. We appreciate you guys taking some time to hang with us. And let's kickstart things as we do each and every single afternoon. It's time to give you yesterday's results and today's schedule. And just as a bonus, just because we love you guys, we're going to give you the weekend schedule. It all takes place on a little thing we like to call the rundown.
This is the rundown.
And the Friday Rundown is brought to you, as always, by our friend Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The Blue Raider Voice also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. You can call him today at 615-542-1915 or visit him on his website, choosechip.net. Chip Walters is proud to support the youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
To the results we go, and to the baseball diamond we go. Yesterday's results begin with a 16-4 win as Eagleville knocked off BGA. Camden County put up 11 runs, just one for Culleoka, 10-run victory for Camden County. 14-1, it was Dixon County over Kirkwood last night. Franklin Christian wins a 5-4 ball game versus the Middle Tennessee Monarchs. Murfreesboro Central Magnet defeated Franklin County 5-1. Lipscomb Academy 9, Franklin Road Academy 5. Middle Tennessee Christian defeated Good Pasture 6-3. James Lawson knocked off Hume Fogg 9-4 was your score there. Independence, a 5-3 winner over Franklin. John Overton took care of East Nashville 8-4. Milan, in a rematch, I believe, if I stand corrected, from last year's AA sectional, Milan defeated Loretto yesterday 9-1 on a baseball showdown. 12-0, Farragut knocked off Mount Juliet last night. Gordonsville blanked Mount Juliet Christian. 8-0 was your score there. Giles County squeaks out a win, 3-1 versus Mount Pleasant, non-district matchup in that contest. Providence Christian 14, Zion Christian 3. Richland, we interviewed Coach Matt Sakowitz yesterday. He told us all about their big showdown versus AAA Lawrence County, and Richland defeated Lawrence County 9-5 in baseball action. Other scores from last night: Riverdale was a 13-3 winner over Rockvale. Rossview defeated Siegel 12-5. Spring Hill was a 9-7 winner over Station Camp. Summertown knocked off Forest 14-4. Watertown 5, Upperman 3. Creekwood defeated Waverly 4-2. Waverly knocked off Clarksville Northeast 8-1. And final baseball score yesterday was Providence Christian 14, Zion Christian 3.
On the smaller diamond, Good Pasture down to Clarksville 12-4 in softball play. It was Cornersville 10-1 winners over Santa Fe. Culleoka falls to Richland 14-1. It was Greenbrier 3-0 winners over White House. Hendersonville edging Gallatin 7-6. John Overton a little more than edged Hunters Lane 24-0. Ravenwood 5-3 winners over Independence, and Henry County continues their just offensive onslaught. There's a story here. Henry County defeated Kenwood 20-0. After Henry County, the reason they didn't play back-to-back in softball, Kenwood's coach tried to cancel the season earlier this week, and that is a whole other story for a whole other day, but that's just an FYI. The Lady Knights are playing again, obviously, but yeah, wow. there was a mess. Lebanon 15-0 winners over Laverne. Lewis County 12-1 winners over Mount Pleasant. Logan County, Kentucky 8-3 against Joe Burns. Portland falls to Macon County 5-1. Marshall County 8-5 winners over Murfreesboro Central. Davidson Academy 5-2 against Nashville Christian. Riverdale falls to Oakland 11-6. Rockvale defeats Blackman 6-5. It's Watertown doubling up Smith County 8-4. Smyrna was a 6-0 winner over Wilson Central. Columbia Central 10-0 against Spring Hill. Stewart's Creek and an offensive onslaught 12-10 winners over Cookville, and Summit 9-1 winners against Centennial.
Boys soccer showdown from last night. It was Zion Christian defeating Franklin Classical 4-3 was your final there. John Overton 2-0 versus STEM Academy. Stewart's Creek blanking Lebanon 4-0. It was Station Camp 9-0 versus Macon County. Smyrna also 2-0 versus Mount Juliet. Good Pasture a 6-1 winner versus Mount Juliet Christian. Green Hill and Riverdale played to a 1-1 draw. Rockvale and Oakland battled, but it was Rockvale coming out on top 1-0 was your score there. Springfield 7, White House 1 to close our high school soccer scoreboard from last night. Major League Baseball, it was Houston falling to the Braves 5-4 in that game that just still lingers on our schedule from Wednesday as the teams get ready for their respective new series this week. And another score of interest, we'll talk about the Sounds here in just a moment.
That's also yesterday. That's also
yesterday's score. I was going to say, it was a little eerie that the Braves and Astros and the Sounds and Chasers had the same scores. From
pretty sure the Sounds won 9-1 yesterday.
Thank you for that update there. As the Sounds, sounds like the Sounds defeated the Storm Chasers. No other way around it. 9-1. Thank you for that, brother.
Yeah, there you go. Oh man, let's go to it was 9-1. Let's go to the schedule for today. 4:00 games: Gallatin at Gatlinburg Pittman, Green Hill hosting Cleveland, Davidson Academy's at Mount Juliet Christian at 4:30. Also at 4:30, Fayetteville and Murfreesboro Central Magnet will play somewhere. Page is at Rockvale. Stratford hosts Hume Fogg. St. Cecilia is definitely not playing Webb School in baseball. Okay. Station Camp is at Brentwood Academy at 4:30. Good Pasture is at DCA at 5, also at 5. MUS hosting Innsworth. Farragut at Nolansville. Zion Christian at Richland at 5:30. It's Westmoreland at Barron County, Kentucky. Hampshire hosting East Hickman. Liberty Creek at Springfield. Friendship Christian is at Clarksville Academy at 6. Also at 6 is Coffee County welcoming Murfreesboro Central. Joe Burns is at East Hickman. McEwen is at Fairview. Culleoka takes on Fayetteville. Watertown is at Forest. Wilson Central is at Franklin County. Independence welcomes Siegel. McGavick is at Laverne. Houston County. I don't know. I guess Houston is at Mount Juliet. Loretto is at Mount Pleasant. Ezel Harding is at Nashville Christian. Riverdale welcomes Summit. And Stewart's Creek is at home against Brentwood at 6:30. Clarksville Northwest is at Harpeth. West Creek takes on Kirkwood. Ravenwood welcomes Blackman. Lawrence County is at Rocket City of Alabama at 6:45. Catch Dixon County at home against Hendersonville at 7. Lawson will be at Cheatham County. Gallatin at Gatlinburg Pittman. And at times unknown, Beach takes on Rossview on the road. And Eagleville is at CPA.
Get my partner a bottle of water and a towel, folks, as he powers through the Friday baseball schedule. I'm going to attempt to do the same on Saturday, and you got to get up early if you want to watch it, but it might be worth your time as Friendship Christian will play host to Los Gatos, California. Again, 9 a.m. showdown there. 10 a.m. starts now. Community is going to take on Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Lewis County traveling to Dixon County. Tennessee Heat are at Ezel Harding. 11 a.m. BGA is at Webb School. Farragut is at Beach. Houston at Clarksville. 11:30 now. East Robertson will travel to DCA. More conventional start time of noon as Lawrence County will travel to Columbia. Upperman will be at CPA. Other noon first pitches include Lipscomb Academy at Centennial, University School of Nashville at Franklin Road Academy, USJ taking on Pope John Paul II. Oakland is at Smyrna. 12:15. Hendersonville versus Kirkwood, the rare 12:15 start on a Saturday. 12:45, Green Hill versus Silverdale Academy. And at 2 p.m., it'll be Pope John Paul II at Huntington. 3 o'clock now, Community traveling to Eagleville. At 5 p.m., it will be Grace Christian Franklin at Middle Tennessee Christian. 6 o'clock, Kirkwood is going to play somebody. Not really sure who. TBA listed on our schedule. So you may
Thompson Bowling Arena.
Thompson Bowling Arena, or potentially even, just to be announced as Kirkwood again will be in action versus somebody at
somewhere
6 o'clock tomorrow. Somewhere, even in fact. Yeah, good point there, partner. 6:30, last couple games here on our Saturday slate. Gordonsville is at Friendship Christian. Columbia Academy is at Providence Christian. And our final showdown tomorrow night should be a good one as White House Heritage will host White House again. First pitch set for 7 o'clock.
Softball action this afternoon. Zion Christian's at Community at 4, as is Mount Juliet Christian at Providence Christian. Now, St. Cecilia Academy will play at Webb School today at 4:30. It just will be softball. Nolansville is at Franklin at 4:30. Harpeth is at Lawson, also at 4:30. Down in Florence, Loretto taking on Colbert County in the Bama Bash tournament this weekend. The Beach is taking on Centennial at 5. Donaldson Christian playing somebody somewhere at 5:30. John Overton is at Ravenwood at 5:30. Battleground Academy will take on Zion Christian. Zion Christian, I'm not sure where they're playing or who they're playing today. I guess they're at Community. That's what it is. They're at Community. They will take on Battleground Academy at 5:30 following their game against Community at Community in Unionville. All right. Page is at Blackman at 5:30. Columbia Central also in that Bama Bash tournament taking on the Danville Hawks of Alabama, not the Danville Trains, although that would be way better. Oakland takes on Thompson, and they are down in Hoover for the Hoover Bucks tournament, one of the biggest tournaments in all of softball in the Southeast. Oakland against Thompson at 6 o'clock. Greenbrier's got Murfreesboro Central at 6. Wilson Central's at Smyrna at 6:30. BGA completes that tri-match as Community out in Unionville at 7 o'clock. Loretto continues play down in Florence against the host Falcons at 7:30. Lebanon has Murfreesboro Central at 7:30. Faith Academy of Alabama takes on Oakland at 8. Lexington and Columbia Central at 9 o'clock down in Florence. Stewart County is at Clarksville Northwest at time unknown, also unknown to us. Huntland at Eagleville. Hickman County at Fairview, and Lawrence County somebody somewhere at some time.
Just know that Lawrence County is going to play. We can't really give you much.
That's all we
else.
got.
That's all we got for you guys. Let's cruise on into Saturday. Softball action beginning right at 8 a.m. Mount Pleasant is at Community. Florence Central, Alabama taking on Loretto. Again, first pitch scheduled for 8 a.m. BGA and Page will get it on at 9:30. At 10:30, Pope John Paul II versus Murfreesboro Central Magnet. 11 a.m. starts now. South Gibson versus Loretto. Mount Pleasant versus BGA. And East Lawrence versus Columbia. 12:30 starts. Page at Community.
I used to cover East Lawrence back in the day.
Maybe you give us a little intel on their chances
That
tomorrow
was
versus
10
Columbia.
years ago.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Page and Community at 12:30. Columbia Academy at Grace Christian Franklin at 2. Mount Pleasant and Page will meet at 2 as well. At 5:30 tomorrow night, Rockvale is at Riverdale. DCA is going to take on an unknown opponent at an unknown time. Obion County will take on Houston County, again, an unknown time. And as well as Oakland taking on a still-to-be-determined opponent. So if you're a fan
Tournaments.
of DCA or Oakland, yeah, you may just be at the mercy of the bracket. We'll see how that shakes out. Boys soccer action. Big games tonight in district play. A lot of these are district showdowns at least. 5 o'clock, Gallatin is at Portland. One of those big district games I mentioned. Giles County will travel to Tullahoma. Chris, they played in the district tournament last year. It went to 20 rounds of penalty kicks before Giles County knocked off Tullahoma. Crazy game there as they get the rematch tonight over in eastern part of our coverage area. Richland is at Loretto at 6 o'clock tonight. Another big district showdown. Spring Hill and Columbia. It's going to be a battle tonight at Columbia at 6 p.m. Lawrence County is at Fayetteville. Another intercounty rivalry at 6 o'clock tonight. Or excuse me, Lawrence County, not Lincoln County. I stand corrected. But Lawrence County is going to travel to Fayetteville at 6. At 6:30, MBA is going to travel to CPA. 7 o'clock now, Christian Brothers is at Hendersonville. Valor Collegiate at Laverne this evening. Siegel and Blackman will get it on. Blackman is your host tonight at 7 o'clock. Page will travel to Nolensville. Short trip there for those Patriots as they make the trip to take on the Knights. At 7 also, it'll be Wilson Central at Stewart's Creek. Brentwood is at Summit to cap your weekend high school schedule. What you got for us for the rest of the weekend?
Well, we'll start NHL play this weekend as the playoffs get going. Game 1 of the Western Conference first round. It's a 9 o'clock puck drop on ESPN. In Vancouver will be the Predators. MLS action. Is this accurate? Inter Miami is at Nashville SC tomorrow at
flip-flop. They're on the road.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, in soccer, the home team is on top. It's
this is the famous game. This is the Messi game he will play when they come to Nashville in June. He will not be in uniform.
Okay. So Nashville SC is at Inter Messi, as you like to call it, at 6:30 on Apple Television. MLB action, of course. The Astros are at the Nationals, 5:45 today, 3:05 tomorrow, and 12:35 on Sunday. The Rangers are at the Braves, a pair of nationally televised games, Apple TV tonight at 6:20, Bally and MLB Network at 6:20 tomorrow, and a 6:10 start on ESPN for Sunday Night Baseball. Sounds, again, continue their series tonight and tomorrow at home against Omaha and the Storm Chasers, 6:35 first pitch tonight. And tomorrow on Sunday, it's a 2:05 first pitch for Family Fun Day, and you can catch Stephanie Miller throwing out the first pitch. So make sure to get out to First Horizon Park this weekend. It will be a lot of fun. And that, folks, is your rundown.
Quality rundown. That leads us right into today's top story. Top story, as always, presented by our friends at Piggly Wiggly out at Neely's Mill. Make sure you check them out for their delicious daily deli lunch.
Yes,
options.
Finally. It took 5 days, but he got it.
Woo.
It took 5 days, but we got it in. The delicious daily deli lunch specials.
Delicious daily deli lunch options.
There you go.
I was playing a mental game of Frogger as I was kind of trying to get that in order there. But make sure you check them out. Once again, Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill presents our top story as always. And this is an interesting top story considering our interview that we had last week with Tennessee State's athletic director. And yesterday, even that we ran it back on Throwback Thursday, Dr. Mickey Allen teased this a little bit but it's, I just kind of chalked it up to, he's just maybe saying that. But make no bones about it. TSU has hired in an effort to further cement their plans to become the first HBCU ice hockey program. They have named Dante Abercrombie as the inaugural coach of the program. That news coming out in a statement from TSU coming out yesterday, shortly after we went off the air. And Chris, this to me, a couple things, and I'll get it your thoughts on it. The first thing is it definitely solidifies their plans. You could talk about it and you could talk about it. And I think some folks really weren't sure if they were really going to try and pull this off. But when you go out and you start hiring a coach and you put the measures in place like they've done, this cements that TSU is for real about adding ice hockey.
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic thing for TSU. I knew that they really wanted to make this happen. Obviously, Nashville being kind of a breeding ground for the new stuff. I mean, Fisk having the first HBCU gymnastics program, now TSU having the first HBCU hockey program. This is fantastic. Guy's been a part of the Toronto organization. He's been on the coaching staff for the Leafs, the ECHL's Newfoundland Growlers. I mean, this guy has a long, long history in hockey, and this is a great, great get for Dr. Mickey Allen and the TSU Tigers. Looking very much forward to seeing what they're able to put together on the ice going forward.
Historic hire as TSU ventures further into the realm of ice hockey. A couple of quick things, and then we'll get ready to get into our next segment here. But the Pittsburgh Penguins general manager, Kyle Dubas, says, I had the chance to work with Dante last season in Toronto. I came to know him as a tremendous communicator with great energy and knowledge and building a great developmental program. Very exciting to see him get this opportunity at Tennessee State. Mike Greer, San Jose Sharks GM, hold your Sharks jokes, but he is the GM. Dante is a very intelligent and hardworking person, a great hockey mind, very detailed and organized. He has a wonderful personality and a unique ability to connect with all his players. Chris, this seems on paper like a good fit and a good hire. And really, you're just kind of looking for somebody to kind of sell the sizzle of this program, and we can figure out the X's and O's of the program as we go, right?
Absolutely. And I think that they got a great X's and O's guy. And so I'm really excited to see what happens here. As someone who got a chance to go to some Alabama and UAB hockey games, club hockey down in Alabama when I was living there, it really is a lot of fun. And the atmosphere in those small enclosed arenas is just electric for hockey. So it almost is one of the best bang for your buck events in and around sports in the area.
TSU, again, ice hockey is coming. They're excited about it. And if you have missed either yesterday on our Throwback Thursday, or you missed last week's sit down with their athletic director, Dr. Mickey Allen, we encourage you to go check our archives, as we've got some great nuggets in there. And again, that news becoming official yesterday. So once again, top story today, TSU hiring their ice hockey head coach. That program is trending forward. And that is our top story, presented as always by the fine friends at Piggly Wiggly out at Neely's Mill. Make sure you check them out for their delicious daily deli lunch options. We are going to take a quick time out. When we come back, Chris and I will return. We're going to have another sit down. Carlos Rodriguez of the Nashville Sounds will join us. So don't go anywhere, folks. We're back right after this break. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back, folks. Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia. Wade Neely here, Chris Yao there. We come to you from the Lee Company Mobile Studios. It's Friday, weekend update edition of the program. And you know what that means? It's time for our weekly check-in with our friends at the Nashville Sounds. And we are delighted to bring in our next guest. He's one of your fan favorites. He's Mr. Carlos Rodriguez, wearing sporting number 21 for the Sounds, and he's taking some time to be with us on a Friday. Carlos, I appreciate you joining us this afternoon, my friend. How we doing?
Good. Thank you for having me, guys.
We certainly appreciate you taking some time. We know it's a busy time of the year for you, and obviously a busy day. And I guess we'll just kind of dive right in. How has does it still feel like the early part of the season to you, or have you kind of already settled into a little groove in your mind personally?
I feel like we're already getting a little deep into it. I feel the guys are rolling right now, and I feel like we're hanging on now into it.
As you guys kind of get deeper into the season, you've obviously had some ups and downs on the mound thus far, but as you kind of I'm curious, and I always like to ask our Sounds players when we come on, kind of what are some things, are you trying to retool anything at this point in the season? Or are you kind of just you've got your routine and you're just trying to just go out and just, that the results and expectations are going to kind of play themselves out in your mind?
No, yeah. I mean, it's baseball. At the end of the day, I can't go out there and have a good outing every time, but I try to stay with my routine, do what I've done my whole career through the minors, and I'm just adjusting a little bit to AAA, but little by little, I'm getting the hang of it.
I got to ask you too, after the week we had last week with all the rain and just how up and down the week has been, have you kind of found, does it feel nice just to be knowing that you're probably going to get a game in every day after just the craziness that Mother Nature played with us last week?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely better knowing when you're scheduled to pitch and having a nice weather. We started in Toledo and it was really cold, and we came back here, and that week here it was cold and it was raining all week. I think it even hailed and everything. But it's nice now that knowing that the weather's a little better, and week to week we'll be able to stay on our daily schedule.
It is interesting though when you come from the AA Southern League, which obviously you have Knoxville and some of the other some area teams, but you typically get to stay in the South. You don't. That's not always the case here at Nashville AAA. You got to go all kinds of different places. So that's interesting. Spent most of last year in Class AA down in Biloxi and was named Co-Brewers Minor League Pitcher of the Year. Was Carlos Rodriguez. Had a great year, 2.77 ERA, ranking first in AA and first in opponent OPS at 5.57, man. You know, obviously the talent level is a pretty big jump. But one of the things that we talk about, especially with Rick Sweet, is how, you know, trust your stuff. Your stuff got you to where you're at now. How difficult is it to trust your stuff and not feel like you need to reach down for just a little bit more at that next level?
I mean, I always got to be able to succeed. I always got to trust my stuff. So it's like something that I got to stay on top of. But when you come to this level of AAA is more veteran guys. So guys are more patient. They're taking pitches closer to the zone. That I'm usually a pitcher that gets a lot of swing at like chases. So I had to learn to get a little bit more on the zone so I could get those guys to chase a little later. But it's just an adjustment to the level, like I said. So it's like little by little getting used to it. But yeah, I talked to Sweetie and he stays on top of me on that.
Well, how much of an impact do, you know, having some of those veteran pitchers in the clubhouse help you? I mean, I know you've got guys like Robert Gasser and Jansen Junk and guys who have been here for a while. How does that help you, you know, as a young prospect to keep doing what you're doing?
No, yeah, they definitely help me in scenarios depending like what I did in a situation that doesn't work in this league. Like they tell me, oh, guys here, they tend to sit on this pitch, and then they see you attacking with the same pitch, and then so they give me tips on how to work with hitters, how do some veteran hitters think, and then so it's always good having all those guys around.
We're talking with Carlos Rodriguez, pitcher for the Nashville Sounds. And Carlos, you mentioned Rick Sweet a minute ago. This guy's got a million stories, and he's been got a million different situations to tell you that he maybe has been in during his journey up and down the big leagues ladder. Any particular story, whether it's recent or not, that sticks out with you that he's mentioned? Because this guy, we interviewed him a couple weeks ago, and you literally just point the microphone in his face, and he'll do the rest for you. So I'm curious what he might have told you over the years.
No, I haven't gotten in with Rick. Not that I haven't think about it. He usually is a lot more with the position player guys because we're usually separated. But he comes around most of the time. But I still haven't gotten to talk to him and hear out some of his stories.
I'm sure. Just give it a little time. I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure one will present itself. What's it like being just back at home, and how has the crowd support been for you guys this week as you get into what should be a fun weekend? I'm looking out here in Nashville. It's a little cloudy, but hopefully we're going to get a good turnout and get some good ball games in this weekend.
It's been great here. The fans here in Nashville are always great. We get nice crowds on Tuesdays. That's like going up the levels. You don't see good crowds on the weekdays, and that's like something that impressed me when I first got here. And it's nice being here at home. The Memphis, the weather, how you said, the weather was a little rough, but this week here in Nashville has been really nice. So it's good to be home.
On the exterior, we feel very fortunate to have such a nice stadium. You've obviously been around the block too. How does First Horizon Park, from a player's perspective, how does that stadium, that ballpark, compare to others?
I mean, I've been on major league stadiums, and I'll tell you right now, it's not that far from it. Maybe just the seating, and not the same amount of seating, but for me, that's a major league stadium right there. It's a great part to play with and to enjoy a ball game, honestly.
And this,
Carl, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and the other big thing, and this is more of Chris's specialty, but Firework Friday is always a big thing. Do you guys feel a little extra juice when you know you got the fireworks show coming at the end of the night, Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are the days we get the biggest crowd. So I think my first week when I came here when I got called up last year. I think we had a walk-off, and it's nice when you get those walk-off on the firework nights. It's always fun because all the fans get into it, and then everybody's around the ballpark late after the game to watch the fireworks.
Carlos, you are currently ranked in the top 10 of Brewers prospects, and that there has to be some sort of pressure with that to some degree. Have you felt that yet, or do you feel like you're still young enough that it's, it isn't quite an issue, just kind of do your own thing? Or is there pressure to perform at a level that gets you to the big leagues faster?
I mean, not really, because when I first came into the system, I didn't come in as a prospect. So it's like I've worked my way into it. So
Gotcha.
Little by little, I just keep doing what I've been doing since what got me here. Like you said, how Sweetie told me to trust my stuff. Whatever got me here, I just keep doing it. I try to keep all that stuff out of my mind, because at the end of the day, the important part is to make it to the big leagues and help that big league team win.
And do you feel like you are a starter at the big league level? Do they feel like you're a starter at the big league level? I guess you wouldn't be starting at AAA if they didn't think that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about space or what's going on. But when I was in spring training, Murph talked about, he said in the clubhouse, all the guys that got invited to big league camp, he says, you guys are here because we think you guys are big league ready. So I just think it depends on what's happening up there or what's happening down here. It's a process.
Well, 6 1/3, 3 earned runs, 4 Ks earlier this week against Omaha in the win, that 6-5 win from Tuesday night or Wednesday night. Sorry. It's a lot to deal with being here in Nashville, especially with a lot of great prospects. And I know that you are soaking it all in and trying to take in as much as you can. And we know that, this club has a lot of great leaders on it, and we expect to see you continuing that leadership role. And we appreciate all that you've done to this point for the club, but also hanging out with us here on Main Street Sports today, man.
No, thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Carlos. We'll be rooting for you, brother. As Carlos Rodriguez, one of the top prospects in the Brewers organization. It's always great to chat with these guys, Chris, and Carlos is no different, because it's just part of the journey, right? And that's the fun thing for me about the way that baseball is set up here is you get to see the guys on their way up. Sometimes you see them on their way back down, but it's all part of this kind of ever-flowing, constantly fluid kind of journey. And Carlos is kind of riding that journey and that momentum right now with the stop in Nashville.
Yeah, no doubt. So, I mean, I really am looking forward to seeing more from him throughout the season. Like I said, he was AA, top 5 in like 6 different categories in AA last year. So dude was shoving, not in, not out. And I expect to see him doing that as the year goes on for the Sounds, if he doesn't find himself in Milwaukee at some point.
Yeah, that's always the wild thing, right? Especially at the AAA level. Yeah, you can see some call-ups from AA occasionally, but
usually those are like super high prospects, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. Generational type talents and upper echelon prospects. But that's the fun part about the Sounds is you get to see these guys. And really, if you're intrigued by a prospect, that to me at least is all the more reason to go out to the game that particular night that they're playing or they're starting, because here today, gone tomorrow type situation, they could be up or it could be down, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, take, for example, Sal Freelick. Happy birthday, Sal. You know,
Well done.
he stayed here for most of the year last year, but definitely found himself in, you know, in a Brewers uniform a couple of times last year. And I don't expect to see him playing in Nashville all season long this year either. So
Nope. As again, thanks to Carlos Rodriguez as Nashville resumes its series versus Omaha, and Main Street going to be celebrating on Sunday. Or is that's every Sunday? Is that correct? That we have home games?
Every Sunday home game, you will be able to see.
I love it. And we're still waiting on that footage that we can run on air, at least, of your first pitch. We might
I sent it to Mark. Mark has it.
Okay. Mark is holding out. I think we might just wait till you're gone next week, and then we might just sneak that in there. Or we might splice it with Stephanie's first pitch on Sunday.
Well, I tell you what. If you want to see it so bad, we can put it up right now.
Man, now that is a technician at work right there.
Doug Scopel, GM, standing there. And you see me at the bottom. And yeah,
he's like, hey, give me the ball. I want this. I'm ready to go.
I told Doug, I said, you got to make sure to listen when they call me out as the don't step on the line.
Yep. Well, I was looking at that.
You know, you can't step on the line. And then I get about as close to the cut as I can without, you know, getting on they asked me not to get up there. And I don't know if that was because I had on white shoes and they didn't want me to get dirty or what, but yeah, boom. And
right
there is no evidence that I threw it down the middle, but I did in fact throw it right down the middle. Booster didn't have to move. So,
well, he didn't have to move. It is worth noting he was wearing an oversized glove. It did appear.
Listen, that's why I screwed up last year. Cause I was like, there's no way he can catch this. Like, I just got to like lob it in there.
Oh, you got in your mind a little bit. You started second guessing a little bit.
And then I realized, so after he caught it last year, I was like, oh, he can catch this thing. So I just went up there and threw a pretty good little dart, you know, just tried to get it straight. I didn't want to rainbow it in.
Didn't want to rainbow it in, but you also don't want to go 50 Cent, obviously.
Right. You got to be careful. You got to be careful with that way. So.
Yeah, no, I had no doubts. I was just, I was thinking at some point we might pool a montage together. And Stephanie's throwing it out on our colleague Stephanie Miller will be on Sunday. And I hesitate to bring up weather because you know how these things can go. But it looks like we're in store for a pretty good weekend. So we're not just blowing smoke when we say that you're not going to find a better atmosphere and better bang for your buck than when you go to a Sounds game. And
if you go Saturday and Sunday, wear a coat.
It's going to be a little cool.
It's going to be chilly. High of 60 on Sunday.
All right, at least we get the matinee.
It will at least be in the afternoon. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Because it will be 60, but that's it.
And we will get into Braves chatter after this quick timeout. But that does remind me, the only game I've been to, and I might have told you this story.
You did tell me this.
The only game at Truist Park I've ever been to, I think the listed temperature was 50, and it might as well have felt like minus 50. It was freezing.
the wind and
we had upper deck tickets, and there were so many people that either didn't come to the game or left early that we were scrambling to try and find a pocket of sunshine by the end. So yeah, bundle up if you're coming out to Sounds. As thanks to Carlos once again for joining us. Thanks to all of our friends at the Nashville Sounds for coordinating that each and every single Friday. We will take a timeout, and when we come back, we will talk Braves. We will have this day in Braves history. It's going to be one that you're going to want to stick around for. I promise you that. We also have some other big MLB news and notes, including one famous fireballer who you won't be seeing for a little bit. We'll tell you all about that on the other side of this timeout. Braves Chatter coming up next. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia. Chris and I are back right after this.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
You know, when I take you back in Braves history, I like to go back as far as you can possibly go. And I'm pretty sure that I have made it about as far as you can possibly go in this one. On this day in Braves history, the Bean Eaters. One of the best baseball names. And baseball was spelled 2 words back then, right?
Oh,
baseball,
wow.
I'm sure, you know. They scored 9 runs in the 9th inning to force extras against the Phillies. 9 runs. Talk about late offense. Couldn't get the 10th one across, so they had to go to 10 innings where they eventually fell to the Phillies, 19-17. and that is a major league record for most runs scored by two clubs on opening day.
Goodness gracious, man.
Could you imagine, like, you're at that game, right? And you're like, well, we're done. This one's over. And you're just getting ready to go. And next thing you know, the bats heat up and you're like, crap, they might come back. And then you stay. And I don't know where I'm sure it was in Philadelphia, but like, so now if you're a Philly fan, you're angry.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're a Boston fan, you're like, all right. And then you get excited just to lose, or you get mad and then you finally come back and win. The emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, the emotional, I would love to hear the play-by-play call of such a comeback back then, but also I'd love to hear the crowd chatter, back when the old timey, see, and a proper comeback for the Bean Eaters this afternoon. Only to be usurped in the 10th inning here.
Unfortunate.
Let's hopefully I never have to do that one again. But
yeah,
the interesting thing I'm wondering about that is back then, how much of a lead did you feel safe with, right? I mean, what were we talking? If you had a 4-0, if you were up 4 runs back then, did that feel insurmountable? I'm curious what an insurmountable lead felt like back then.
That is a good question, because here's the thing. And, if I don't know if I doubt you can go back and see the box score from that one, but like, did the same pitcher, because most of the time the pitchers just pitched.
You were the pitcher
for that day. It was your day. But like, at what point in the 9th inning do they go, okay, maybe we try somebody else? I don't know.
You bring in the right fielder. Hey, I've never thrown a pitch in my life. Well, you got to be better than this guy, or
you can't be anyone.
No.
I mean,
while I was looking for that, I did find this. So, obviously that story ends with them falling in extra innings, but I did see, let me make sure I get this right. July 20th, back in 2012, the Braves came from 9 runs down versus the Nationals. Steven Strasburg a young Steven Strasburg was even pitching.
We used to drub Strasburg. I mean, every time he pitched, and we were terrible. In like that 14, 15, 16 years, we were awful. And we would drub Strasburg.
He's just furious. So he blows the lead. So then Atlanta now leads 10-9. And then Kimbrel blows the save as Danny Espinosa ties the game. But then in the 11th, Dan Uggla turned little
Columbia legend.
Columbia legend Dan Uggla ends up giving the Braves, re-giving the lead, if you will, to Atlanta. And that time they end up winning versus the Nationals. So kind of those were the 2 biggest comebacks, I guess, that I could find. I couldn't find a double-digit comeback. But, yeah, that's
9 runs is enough.
Yeah, this day in Braves history. And I'd also be curious, you score 17 runs on opening day. Like, how many more runs did they score like the rest of the month? Like,
yeah.
Did they kind of continue on? We mentioned Braves are back in action this weekend, as are the Astros. And I'm excited for today's show because this is the first show of the week that we haven't had to come on and talk about Atlanta beating Houston. So for that, at least I'm a little grateful. But get into a big series. You guys got the Rangers, I believe, correct? Coming into
the Texas is coming into into Cobb County.
Well said.
And so they'll play 3 tonight. And tonight's game is on Apple TV Plus. Have you seen an Apple TV Plus game, by the way?
I have not seen a baseball one on there, but if it's anything like their MLS, it's great.
Yeah.
Is it great?
The cameras are phenomenal. I have 4K TVs at home. insane camera. And the best part about it is you can put your local radio crew audio on. And so you can listen to Ben and Joe while watching just crystal clear television. If every game could be on Apple TV Plus, I would be for it.
Yep. Like I said, I've not seen, but their MLS coverage is fantastic. So whatever Apple's got going on, it sounds like they've got it really going on because, and as we've joked a few times, you'll actually be able to see the game, which is nice. I know it's a bit of a challenge right now for Braves fans as folks, depending on your current cable or streaming situation, are unable to do so. Other news and notes, we did want to make sure we mentioned this. How about the story? We told you guys that a big league fireballer is going to be sidelined for a little bit as Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher Aroldis Chapman has been suspended 2 games. He's also been fined an undisclosed amount for, quote, inappropriate actions during his outing or appearance Monday night versus the Mets. MLB announcing that yesterday. If he appeals, this could, get pushed back a little bit, but if he doesn't appeal, it's set to begin tonight as they host the Red Sox. He was ejected in the 8th inning after giving up a 2-run double when he got into it with home plate umpire Edwin Moscoso. I love this. The Pirates manager Derek Shelton said, quote, he evidently said something the umpire did not like. I mean, that is baseball and coach speak to a T right there. What happened? Well, I don't know. I guess he just said something the umpire didn't like. No real explanation.
Yeah. So, and Chapman's been beleaguered over the last several years. So, I mean, I guess it's interesting how that all plays out. But boy, when you have a reputation, the trigger's a little quicker. And I think Chapman kind of has that reputation. Now, I will say this. Based on what I've seen to this point in Major League Baseball season, I do want to give a shout out, though, and let me see if I can find the dude's name real quick, because umpire scorecards had Ben May of the Rays and Angels with 1 of 78 called balls were true strikes. So he only missed one pitch in the entire game, according to ump scorecard, did Ben May. But for the most part, umpires have not been great this year. And so, I think Marlins manager got thrown out the other day because they didn't start the pitch clock. The Giants on Jackie Robinson Day called for a right-hander out of the bullpen, but they didn't have a right-hander warming up. So the left-hander came out, but he never warmed up on the mound. So he didn't have to face a batter because, that was the new rule we talked about. Mm-hmm. He didn't warm up, but they didn't start the pitch clock because the wrong pitcher came out. Well, the wrong pitcher came out because they didn't have anybody warming up. So he's in the bullpen trying to warm up real fast. And they didn't start the pitch clock for in between pitchers. So manager comes out and he's mad. He's like, it's supposed to be a ball. And the umpire says, I'll take care of it. And then he gets out there and they didn't call a ball. And so the manager comes back out. He says, you said you were going to take care of it. He said, I did. I didn't give him as many warm-up pitches. He goes, no, it's supposed to be a ball. He said, no, I didn't ever say that. And so he chunks him. It's like, what?
He gone at that point.
Yeah, he said, how many times are you going to screw us? You've screwed us twice in this at bat right here. It was just crazy. But anyway, thought that was funny.
I love when we do actually get the either transcript or obviously if you can get it in real time.
Read lips.
If you can read lips, it really is fun following along with that. Hey, real quick before we send it to our break, since you mentioned the Marlins, just after getting a big win in Yankee Stadium a couple outings ago, Ryan Weathers will also go to another historic stadium on Sunday as he is scheduled to pitch in Wrigley Field versus Kyle Hendricks when the Marlins take on the Cubs. First pitch there is set for 1:20. So if you're looking for something to watch on Sunday, make sure you check out the Cubs and Marlins, as Loretto native Ryan Weathers, who's in need of a bounce-back year, is having a strong start to his year with the Marlins. Marlins as a team have not done well, but the good news is they've done well on the nights he's been pitching. So we will keep our eyes on that as we head into the weekend. Speaking of the weekend, we are one more hour still into our program to come. And when we come back, we will kick off the 3 o'clock hour in style, the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today. We will be joined by our good friend and colleague, Scott Stewart, who's going to talk with Dr. Zach Pharr of TOA of Columbia. So he will take it away right after we kick off the 3 o'clock hour here. So sit tight, folks. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented, as always, by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chris and I are back after this.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
On the True Sports Today, presented as always by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We come to you from the Lee Company Mobile Studios. I'm Wade Neely. That is Chris Yao. And we send it out now as we kick off hour two to our good friend and colleague, Scott Stewart. He is standing by with another good friend of ours, Dr. Zach Pharr of TOA Columbia. Gentlemen.
Hey, man, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, guys. Yeah, we are here at TOA of Columbia, And we just had a ribbon cutting, Zach. So that makes it official. So tell us what we were cutting the ribbon on. I think was the fact that you've swapped over from Middle Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic over to 208, which is a lot easier to say, by the way, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've been Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic here in Columbia, well known in the southern Middle Tennessee region since the 70s, really. And we've had a great experience helping all the patients in this area. Recently, over the past few years, we started a merger process. So it's actually been a 3-year merger with TOA, which has been kind of a statewide thing and an extremely great thing for the group. The idea here was that there was 3 successful independent groups in different areas of the state that all had good relations with one another. And essentially by merging and becoming even larger, we've allowed each one of us to have greater resources for patient access, for efficiencies. And so it was kind of a no-brainer. And so the rebrand from Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic to TOA Columbia now was really just kind of the culmination of that 3-year process. So nothing's changed in terms of the physicians here, what we are able to provide, but we can do it even better now.
Right. It's just strength in numbers, right? I think you get numbers in a lot of different areas. You get strength in the fact that you have a wider diversity of doctors that can have input on treatments, right? And then also supplies and all of the kinds of stuff. So that's awesome. Talk about real quick. We cut the ribbon today, and so in case some folks don't know where you're located, go ahead and give them the address and tell them that just to look for the big letters on the building, right?
Yeah, that's right. 1050 North James Campbell Boulevard here in Columbia, Tennessee.
Yeah.
We got the big TOA now on the building.
Right.
The merger was a 3-year process. The sign was about 3 days. And so to the public, it was one of those things where what just happened to our clinic? But we've done our best of really trying to get the rebrand out there and help people recognize that this is the same clinic that they've grown to know and love for decades, same providers, same great quality care, and it's right here in Columbia.
And I'm sure that you've talked to your patients. Patients are saying the transition's been great for them, right?
Absolutely, yeah, it's been very good. And again, those resources that I was mentioning help make things even more efficient. Online appointments. Yeah. We have multiple options. You can call online, communication, all that's very accessible, as well as our walk-in clinic where people can get same-day appointments. So it's a lot of things from technology to efficiencies, revenue cycle, a lot of things that go into a business and running a good clinic. That can do very well from efficiency standpoint, have been totally optimized.
Right, and of course you treat people for all ages, right? I'm sure you go. I'm not sure how young the youngest is.
Yeah, so I saw a 20-month-old earlier today. So,
but I know you go on up all the way on up to the older folks who are like me, having trouble with their knees and their shoulders.
We don't call them older folks. Those are the wise. They're wise.
The wise people,
got more wisdom.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to gain more every day. So, but you also, one thing that we talked about before we got on here, it's ball season, baseball season, softball season. What kind of injuries are you guys dealing with as far as that goes? I know you've probably seen a bunch of kids come through here.
No, absolutely. Baseball season really normally gears up your shoulder and elbow injuries. Okay. And so we got to take good care of our arms for our throwing athletes. And that means, keeping your flexibility, making sure you're not throwing in pain is certainly critical. Ideally, we're doing throwing exercises and doing weightlifting type exercises afterwards. It's often that athletes will get to where they've worked out a whole lot. They've pushed their muscle to a point of fatigue to where now their ligaments are starting to see the blow of throwing and the violent action of that. And so it's always good to try and throw when you have most of your when you're not fatigued. Okay, that's the idea there.
So and the other thing is, of course, when you're young, you're bulletproof, and nothing can hurt you until it hurts you, right? So, and I know you guys see a lot of that, and you're able to help those kids get back on the field quicker and do their best. Well, is there anything that I hadn't touched on?
No, thanks again for having us, certainly. And thanks to everybody with the network. We really appreciate our relationship. You guys are always on top of all the news and all the athletes that are particularly, near and dear to my heart, taking care of athletes and staying in tune with what's going on locally. So thank you guys. And, just to anybody listening, again, I just echo that this is the same clinic. We have a new name, TOA Columbia.
Right.
And that we've got all the orthopedic things that you would need, from sports medicine, which I specialize in, to joint replacement, to foot and ankle, hand, spine, all across the board of orthopedic care. We've got it here.
For all us wise people out there, right? And I've
right.
been looking for the ribbon cutting coming in Main Street, Murray, in the next week or two. I think that's all we got today, guys. Thank y'all.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Dr. PHARR, as TOA of Columbia did indeed celebrate its ribbon cutting back in the Lee Company mobile studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Chris, I love the line, by the way. It's a move and a merger that kind of was 3 years in the making, but it took about 3 days to put the sign up. It just kind of shows how sometimes these things are kind of a little more complicated than just flipping a switch on, right?
Well, yeah, it's funny because I probably had 6 months or so to get the commercial ready. And, and then the new commercial that you guys see, of course, on the show each day. And so it was interesting how it went from, the merger actually happened. They kept the MTBJ name for a while, and then finally moving over to that TOA. But yeah, we can't thank TOA enough for all that they've done for this show, previous iterations of this show. And, they have been supporters of ours, and we could not do this show without them. And we greatly appreciate all the work that Dr. PHARR has done in both, his work as a sports physician as well as in the community. He is a great, great human being, and we appreciate all that he's done as well. So yeah, it's a lot when you start talking about changing names and branding. And as you well know, I mean, crap, Wade, you don't know this, but I'll break some news for you. In the next week or so, we'll have some new swag here in studio that features your face. So we'll get some new stuff for Main Street Sports Today that includes you, since I guess it's been 2 months now, a little over 2 months close to 2 months that you've been on the show. So figure we might as well pretend to make you an actual member now.
Well, a couple things on that. Number one, I don't know how much stuff needs to be going around with my face on it. I signed up for this thing
everywhere.
I signed up for this thing. I'm an old school radio guy, and the classic joke, obviously, face for radio. So little did I know there was a video component, so I was already a little leery then. But now you're telling me there's going to be swag kind of bandied about. Makes me a little nervous. But hey, speaking of next week, it's not listed in our run of show, but we touched on it earlier, and I thought we would at least give the listeners a breakdown. The NHL has announced, finally, Nashville's kind of been on pins and needles for the last couple of days, and the diehard fans really have been kind of on pins and needles for about the last 10 days or so since their playoff berth was secured. But the brackets are out, and the first round as such will look like this. Nashville has drawn a matchup versus the Vancouver Canucks, which should be a fantastic series. As we told you guys in the rundown, first game is set for 9 p.m. Central Time. Yes, we said that right. 9 p.m. Central Time. That's in Vancouver. Game number 2 will take place Tuesday at 9 o'clock. There will be a little travel as they make their way to Nashville, but games 3 and 4, and these are the kickers. A lot of folks were curious, and they have been announced. Game 3 will be in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena on Friday, April 26th at 6:30 p.m. And Game 4 in Nashville will be Sunday at 4 o'clock. And before we went on the air, you and I were talking. Well, I'll get to that in just a second. Games 5, I'll give you these real quick. Game 5, 6, and 7, if needed. Game 5 in Vancouver would be Tuesday, April 30th. Game 6 would be in Nashville Friday, May the 3rd. And then Game 7, if needed, would be back in Vancouver on Cinco de Mayo, Sunday, May the 5th. So schedule is out. And the big dates, obviously, that everybody here was concerned about was the home dates. And we do have those now. So Friday and Sunday, and you were already kind of scanning the secondary market. And it ain't going to be a cheap ticket really to get in by any means either night, but especially that Sunday game. Talk about did Nashville kind of hit the lottery, right? You get a Friday and Sunday for your 2 home games in the first round. The only 2 games that you're guaranteed to get at Bridgestone Arena are coming your way Friday and Sunday next week.
Yeah, I mean it's good, but I don't think it would have mattered. It could have been Tuesday. It could have been Tuesday at 2:00, and that place would have been filled. I don't think there's any question there. So I mean, there's that.
Now I'm with you there. I do think that barn would be rocking no matter what. But for any potential casual fans that were somehow, some way still not on the bandwagon, that maybe makes it a little more conducive for next weekend. So picture this, my friend. And Scott Ramsey could be a good guest for us next week. It just dawned on me because picture this. Thursday night, there are at least 2 different viewing options for Titans fans for the first round. One of them will be at Nissan Stadium. And the other is going to be at a location somewhere downtown. The name escapes me of the establishment. That's Thursday night. Friday night, you've got Game 3 at Bridgestone Arena. Again, puck drop will take place at 6:30. Also this weekend, this is while the draft is also continuing, rounds 2 and 3 on was round 4 included on Friday as well, or just 2 and 3? Just 2 and 3, right? And so then 2 and 3 taking place Friday, simultaneous with the Preds game. The draft capping on Saturday. Also, it's marathon weekend in Nashville next weekend. I will not be running, but I will be out supporting and cheering. How about that on Saturday? As that place will be bonkers. And then you cap the weekend with Game 4 on Sunday. And if Nashville can steal, obviously if you can steal 2, you'd just be tickled pink, as they like to say in Giles County. But if you could steal at least 1 game, you really set yourself up nicely because Games 3 and 4, again, will take place Friday and Sunday of next weekend.
Yeah, it would be nice. I would love to see them go over there and take one. And like I said, Vancouver has the unfortunate, situation where they'll be traveling to Nashville and have to play pretty quickly. So,
yeah, you raised that point yesterday, and if you're going to be traveling, you might as well travel on the front end. Having to make such a long trip, and I know both teams obviously will be doing it, but having to make such a long trip could potentially heighten that home ice advantage or the home barn advantage as it would be next Friday and Sunday for the Preds, potentially, in my mind at least.
Right. So I'm interested to see how that part plays out. Let's take a look at the full bracket, eh?
Let's do it.
Let's see if we can go full screen with it. That doesn't really help us. Here, I'll try to make it a little bit bigger. How's that?
There we go.
There we go.
So we got Dallas and Vegas and on one side. Ann Kimmel of Penalty Box Radio told us earlier this week she is going to keep her eyes on the Jets, who do have that matchup versus the Avalanche. And then obviously we mentioned Preds, Canucks, and the Oilers, Kings. The West, that seems like 4 really good series in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas probably doesn't feel great about having Vegas. The Avalanche and Jets and they certainly don't feel great about having the Avalanche and Jets on the other side. I can tell you that. I think, as far as the Preds go, this may be, as good of a draw as you could hope for.
You mentioned that, partner. I'm looking at the series odds on a sports book right now. Vancouver is listed at -150. Nashville is +130. That's to win the whole series. For some context, The Avalanche are minus 135. The Jets are 115. Stars are 140. Knights are 120. The Oilers, however, a much bigger favorite. They're minus 190, and the Kings are 160. So
I'm surprised the Kings even made it.
Kings sneak in, and obviously more than any other sport, we see this every year. Anything can happen in this particular postseason. On the flip side, while we've got the bracket up, you have, as you see there, Panthers Lightning, all Florida battle there. Really, I think, obviously it's an iconic series, but it should be a fun matchup between the Bruins and the Leafs. And then you have the Rangers Capitals, which is potentially big for ratings, obviously, for the NHL with two major markets there. And then you have Carolina taking on the Islanders. The two biggest favorites in the whole postseason, at least in this first round, are the Hurricanes at minus 340, and the Rangers are listed. The Rangers are listed at a whopping minus 450. So I know the Rangers did win the President's Trophy. I know they were right there. I'm pretty sure, almost positive they won it. And Vegas, at least the entity of Vegas, that is, not the Golden Knights, seems to think that the Rangers, despite the fact the Capitals kind of snuck in with a flurry at the end, seems to think that the Rangers are going to take care of business in on that side of the bracket. If you're a daredevil, and Yao and I are kind of daredevils, there might be an opportunity to throw a little coin on the Capitals there.
I mean, it's as good of a flyer as you're going to get, right? I mean, no reason not to put $10 on it or something, you know.
$10. And I mean, again, I know I've said this a million times, but it would not shock me whatsoever if let's just say after Sunday, that whether it's the West or the East, there's some random team that's up 2-0 that won 2 road games, and everybody's saying, how did this happen? And then it's off to the races. I think Nashville is set up nicely. I think those games, even though you're going to have to stay up late to catch them, will be fantastic on a Sunday night, especially. But that is your Stanley Cup first round schedule between the Preds and the Canucks, who I can't remember a playoff series between the two. I might look foolish here, and you tell me they played like 3 years ago, but I can't remember. 2011 you got to go back to. Thank you, partner.
Yeah, somebody wrote a headline that said Preds Canucks in playoff rematch, and I'm like, it was a decade and a half ago rematch.
That's a bit of a
stretch.
That's like the story. De La Cruz hit the inside the park home run. Mo and I were talking about it last week, and the story went on to say it was the last inside the park home run for the Reds since. And I'm like, oh, this is going to go back to like 96 or something. And it said since September of 23. I was like, man, that was like 15 games ago.
I feel like if you do that, it has to be really, really long ago or like last week.
Yeah. The other obvious kind of tongue in cheek there is, it's kind of what they did a little bit, but I was expecting to see like 98, and then they were like, yeah, it happened last September, and I was like, well, okay, that was, like I said, that was literally less than 20 games ago practically at that point. So a little sports writing humor there. As we're going to take a quick timeout, folks.
Hey,
again, thanks.
Before we do that, let me get this out of the way, because I meant to mention it yesterday and forgot to, and this seems like as good of a time to mention it since we're talking about Preds and whatnot. But the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame announced yesterday it will be moving the museum to the new Nissan Stadium that will open in 2027.
Oh, wow.
That also means that they will obviously be closing the museum at Bridgestone Arena. However, they will actually be closing that on May 15th of this year. So they are going to be completely closing Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame to the public on May 15th. So you need to go between now and then if you want a chance to see the Sports Hall of Fame as it is currently set up inside Bridgestone Arena before it reopens in 2027 at the new Nissan Stadium. Burke Nihill said as we enter into the next era of Titans football in Nashville with the opening of the new Nissan Stadium, we're proud to have a space that will showcase our state's deep sports history. We've worked with the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame for many years now and look forward to moving into our new home together. I mean, I think that's huge. You know, to me, that's a big deal for the Hall of Fame. I mean, Bridgestone is a great place to have it, but it's not in a place where it's easy to get to from Bridgestone Arena.
Right.
Like you have to go into the visitor center in order to get there. And so this may allow them a little more visibility.
You're right. And yeah, I see what you're saying too. It won't necessarily be easier, quote unquote, to get to at large over at the new Nissan. But once you're there, once you arrive in that part of town or on that part of town, more visibility and a better setup. So thank you for sharing that. I was unaware of that. So I guess my immediate question, is it just temporarily on hiatus? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're still going to obviously they'll have their inductees, but there will be no space for them until 2027.
Oh, wow. So with that also presumably, obviously that stinks in the short term, but what that also leads me to believe is that this is a chance for the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame to just blow it out of the water at this new space, put all those efforts into getting that spot ready.
Yeah, they don't have time to keep a space going while also trying to produce a new space. So, yeah.
That makes sense. So in addition to, what is it, the world's largest, or Nashville's at least largest or longest bar that's going to be featured at Nissan, at the new Nissan Stadium, you're also going to have the Sports Hall of Fame there. So
there you go.
Thank you once again for sharing that. That slipped our radar on yesterday's program.
Well, it was late. It was late.
Late. And if you want more, you can find that on their website, tshf.net. That is their headline story. So we mentioned more headlines to come. Chris and I are going to break out our calculators and go into the weeds a little bit of the business end of NCAA. There's quite a few stories to get into. A lot of odds and ends we're going to tie into with NCAA and the world of sports business. That's coming up on the other side of this timeout. Before we go, we want to thank again Scott Stewart and Zach PHARR from TOA of Columbia, as we had them on at the top of the hour. And Chris and I will return right after this. You're watching Main Street Sports Today. We are presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, and we'll be back right after this.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Right back at it here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Alongside Chris Yao, Wade Neely saying hello. It's the weekend update edition of the program. Had a good show thus far, Chris Yao, as we've covered a wide variety of topics, and we caught up in the first hour with Carlos Rodriguez, pitcher for the Nashville Sounds. They continue their series versus Omaha this weekend. Talked a little Braves at the top of this hour. We just
let me mention just one more little Braves nugget that just came out about 10 minutes ago.
Come on.
Spencer Strider from Grant McCauley, friend of the show, 92.9 The Game, provided clarity on the elbow issue. A bone fragment formed in his UCL, ultimately breaking loose, causing weakness in his ligament. So, was not Tommy John surgery, just a bracing procedure. So he will only miss the rest of this year, will not be out in 2025. Braves fans rejoice everywhere.
Yeah, that is big news because you start talking Tommy John, and obviously we made some fantastic strides, pardon my pun there, in that realm and recovery time. But anytime those words get mentioned, you're just still a little leery.
Well, especially for someone with two Tommy Johns, you know.
It
usually
is that the same arm or no?
Yeah, it is the same arm, but at least it was not that. It was just a shoring up that structure. So that's got to feel good if you're a Braves fan, and it does for me anyway.
No, yeah. It's bad enough. Obviously, he's out for the rest of this season. But when you start potentially think about missing time next year, that's when things can really get dicey. So good to see Strider at least getting a small sign of some encouraging news. Speaking of news, a little bit of a grab bag here, but a lot of NCAA/business chatter to get into, including a story that Chris shared with us early this morning. Chris, FedEx is going to get into the name, image, and likeness game, announcing a massive $25 million pledge, funding $5 million in NIL contracts over each of the next 5 years in key sports while promoting the company. The deal is believed to be the largest corporate NIL sponsorship of its type in college athletics. You sent the story out this morning, and I kind of had a few thoughts immediately, but I'm curious what went through your mind when you read this as FedEx jumps into the NIL world?
My initial thought was, man, Memphis has a leg up on everybody in the AAC right now. I mean, that is the most lucrative situation that we have seen directly between athletes and a a corporation, not that doesn't involve just one athlete. I mean, the only thing that I can think of that might make this a problem is that it appears they are targeting Memphis only athletes. So my assumption is that, you're going to have to be an athlete at the University of Memphis before you can enter the contract. They will be 1-year contracts, because who knows when someone may enter the portal, et cetera. So going to be interesting to see how they maneuver around you can't designate a player play at a certain institution in order to receive the money. How do they get around that if they're going directly to the source rather than going through a collective?
Okay, I see what you're saying. You can't recruit using NIL money, but once you get there, you can receive the money. So it's kind of like a wink, wink. You end up in Memphis, and guess what? You're eligible for these funds. Is my understanding it correctly there?
That's what it appears.
And I love this article I'm reading from CBS, by the way. They talk about, really it's kind of the first of its kind. Nike and Oregon obviously have been intertwined over the years, even pre-NIL. Same situation with Under Armour and Maryland. But nobody has really kind of stepped up to the plate in this regard of this big of a company. And I just love the nugget here that they do include on this CBS. It's not every institution or every city that just happens to have a Fortune 500 company also in their backyard. So this is kind of a perfectly unique situation for Memphis, for a program or a university that's kind of been on the bounce back as they got back to 10 wins for the first time in a couple of years in football. Basketball narrowly missing the tournament. This could be just the lifeline or just the ticket that Penny Hardaway was looking for, is what I'm thinking. And you made a great point. Obviously, they have a massive leg up, just conference play alone to start, and then obviously get into national implications.
Yeah, now that SMU is out of the conference completely, they will certainly have the most lucrative NIL situation of anybody in the American.
So we will keep our eyes on what happens over in the 901 over the next couple of days, weeks, and months and years as that continues to formulate. Some news regarding Notre Dame. What can you tell us about this situation?
Okay, so this may be the most unique thing that I've seen is an unfair labor practice charge has been filed to the National Labor Relations Board against Notre Dame. Similar actions have been filed against USC, the Pac-12, etc., and basically says that players are misidentified as student athletes and instead of employees. Right now, it should be noted that this charge did not originate from any Notre Dame athlete. It's just any random person can make this charge, basically. And so I find it interesting because obviously there are things that, they receive tuitions. So that's part of the supplement to play athletics is, they receive tuition and most of the time their books are covered and room and board and those sorts of things. And someone said, well, why don't they just pay them as employees and then charge them tuition, books, and room and board? I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? I mean, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. I don't think that is something student athletes would want to deal with. You've got, when you're talking about taxes, when you're talking about all the things that go into that, right? It's not what you want to deal with. So I'll be curious to see how this plays out. I don't think it's going to be anything major on the side of, I don't think the NLRB is going to be dealing with this for long.
Yeah, and this obviously comes on the heels of the story that you, myself, and Mo all have talked about in the last couple of weeks out of New Hampshire with unionization with their basketball team at Dartmouth, I believe. Was that right? Yeah. And so I'm just trying to potentially see, are there tea leaves that can be read? You're saying this is almost is potentially a one-off, or where does this go in your mind, or does this go anywhere?
Well, I think the National Labor Relations Board needs to rule on one of these cases so that it will stop, or we can move on to the next side of it. Right. So that's what I'm looking for, is for the NLRB to do something, like poking them with a stick. Right. Come on, do something.
Yeah. Come on. Yes. Well said. Those are kind of some business news and nuggets, but it's not the only college football, chatter, as some other rules and regulations are coming down. And this one is definitely under the realm of chatter, as helmet communications. We've kind of also discussed that this would probably be coming, and it looks like that helmet interaction between coach and sideline to a player directly, looks like it's now not just an NFL thing. Looks like it's going to be coming to NCAA, it appears, right?
Yeah, the NCAA announced it today. The green dot rule will take effect. And do you know who this helps more than anybody?
Is this
Jacksonville
a program?
State.
Okay.
Jacksonville State.
How does this help? All right, enlighten me.
They already run a play every 14 seconds. Now they don't have to signal in the play. They can just tell the quarterback to play. They may run a play every 7 seconds. I mean, this is going to be game-changing for Rich Rodriguez.
As soon as you said that, obviously that makes a lot of sense. But I'm also just imagine Chip Kelly at the Oregon back in the day, right?
I mean, any of these teams that move fast, that play fast, Lane Kiffin, they're going to be the teams that benefit from this greatly. And, it'll be interesting because obviously, the communication doesn't shut off until there's so much time on the play clock or whatever. So, for defenses, even, it's going to be interesting because defenses will be able to, for those teams playing against teams who move fast, they'll be able to talk to them up to the snap. So should be interesting.
Yeah, and when this story kind of came down, it's worth pointing out, by the way, as the resident Michigan fan in the room, this, I feel I'm contractually obligated to point out, this was already in motion prior to the whole sign stealing issue that stemmed from last year. I just wanted to point that out. It was already in motion. And if I recall correctly, this was approved for certain bowl games this past season. There were it was kind of a trial balloon. And really my only question or issue with this is this going to be funded by the NCAA, or is it left to the schools to fund themselves? Because I'm envisioning a situation where your top programs, they have the best equipment, they have the best situations, and then some of your smaller schools are trying to maybe implement it, but either, I'm just visualizing, Coach, I couldn't hear the play. What do you mean you couldn't hear? Well, did you change the batteries? I'm just visualizing small schools not being able to quite be on the same level. So I'll be curious if this is kind of funded, or at least there's some sort of grant or something that's carved out by the NCAA in all of this.
It does not say who would be in charge of purchasing the technology. I think that's an interesting concept, because that was one of the reasons that it didn't pass, prior to now. That was one of the things that kind of held it up. And so it's optional technology. So I guess if you have the haves and the have-nots, I guess.
Now, in the interest of being fair and balanced, I would also point out that even though this technology would be in play, the anti-Michigan stance. And so, like I said, I'll be fair and balanced. Harbaugh would find a way to mess with the technology during the Ohio State game, right? If that game is played at Michigan,
pitch comms are getting check. Boy, Wade, you have got some issues.
I'm just visualizing
trash
the quarterback
cans.
The Ohio State quarterback. Coach, I can't hear a darn thing. Well, just mysteriously, Harbaugh pulled the plug on the comms over there.
What is it about Wade Neely's teams and stealing comms?
And I feel bad. I'm a tortured soul because Michigan and the Astros obviously involved in both of these situations. But I was a fan of them when they were putrid. And now that they finally got a modicum of success, I'm even further tortured because there are allegations and controversy surrounding them all. Yeah, so it's
if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
For the obscure Astros Michigan fans of the world, we're suffering right now. That's not the only change coming to college football, though. Partner, sounds like a 2-minute warning will be implemented as well. Is that correct?
2-minute warning is coming, which means more commercials. Surprise, surprise. Whatever.
Did they not just go through trying to speed the game up with certain rules, and now all of a sudden it's like now we're slowing it back down?
Exactly. After a year of review, Division III committee members decided to adopt timing rules where the game clock would continue on a first down run, so that game clock is going to continue to run like we have seen in Division I, but yet the 2-minute warning will now take effect. So yeah, should be interesting. This one may be my favorite. Collaborative replay review systems for conferences. So instead of having a referee, a replay official on site, you'll just send it back to the replay facility in Birmingham for the SEC. And that is going to be one of the biggest jokes in all of SEC football is that, Birmingham's protecting Alabama all day long. And it's just going to be more and more of that throughout the college football season. No question.
Yeah. If this, I'm going to give Alabama a tiny pass with Saban not being at the helm, but the anti-Alabama takes obviously will probably still continue right along. But yeah, we're going to send it to Birmingham. Oh, what do you know? Alabama just mysteriously not called for this. Or, oh, what do you know? Ole Miss was flagged for this when it clearly should have been against Alabama. Yeah, the jokes, like you said, they will instantly be writing themselves on Twitter this fall.
This is going to last very, very long into next football season. if the SEC does, in fact, go with the collaborative replay system.
On the other hand, though, obviously that could be much better for speeding up the game, could it not? Hey, do a quick buzz to Birmingham. Yep, looks good, and just move on. Or
yeah, and I think that I would love to see what the UFL does and have television viewers be able to actually hear the conversations taking place inside the replay room. But I won't hold my breath.
That would be fun. And if nothing else, I do love the idea of, quote, let's send it to Birmingham. It just sounds fun. And I'm just visualizing, Birmingham, which obviously the SEC basically controls college football. I love the idea of Birmingham, Alabama being the epicenter of the biggest decision of a college football game that day. So,
oh, gosh. Yeah, I don't know that I want Birmingham being involved in any big decisions, but,
I mean, they're going to be the kingmakers for the day. So, hey, you mentioned the UFL. We're going to take a real quick final timeout. When we come back, Chris and I will give you the best of what we've seen this week and the best of this weekend to come. It's part of the weekend highlights as we wrap up the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Come back with us. Final segment coming your way right after this.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that EY is gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's
you got that right. And
that's bottom line.
be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe if not a puck, how about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
I'm fixing to edit Triple-A. Have a good week.
Look alive, boys and girls. Final segment on the weekend update. It is brought to you as always. We are brought to you as always by TOA of Columbia. Inside the Lee Company Mobile Studios. Chris Yow's back in Columbia. Wade Neely here in Music City. Getting ready for a big weekend, partner. And we've had a great week thus far. I think we both can agree we've missed Mo, but it's been fun sharing the airwaves with you all week long. Like you said, bringing back old vibes for you, my friend, this week.
Yeah, glad to be here. Glad to have been here, and looking forward to, of course, seeing Mo back. I know he's probably not excited about getting back and not being, in all the beautiful, warm, and sunny places that he's been. But I can tell you, I will be ready for him to be back.
I think everybody, myself, you, listeners, everybody's going to be pumped to see Mo back in the saddle next week. But that's next week. We got to get through the weekend first. And we talked about a few big events over the course of this week that are going on this weekend. What's got your eye as you head into the weekend?
Well, as we mentioned on the other side of the break, of course, the UFL continues its play. Week 4 showdowns. The Showboats are in St. Louis at the Dome at America's Center. That's an ABC 11:30 a.m. kick tomorrow. So you can watch that one early tomorrow and then go enjoy your day. Come back home for a 6 o'clock kick as the Stallions host the DC Defenders. And I will actually be in Alabama tomorrow, but I will be hopefully getting home as the game kicks off. My dad and my brother are very close in birthdays, and so we're having a joint birthday event tomorrow, and so we'll go down there for a few hours and then scoot back up. So I won't be sticking around to see the game live at Protective tomorrow, but you can watch that one, or if you are in other parts of the country, you can see Michigan and San Antonio. Both those games are on Fox at the same time at 6 o'clock. So
that begs the question. Obviously, Birmingham is a football crazed city. In addition to going to the game, are there watch parties? What's the overall interest level for the UFL in a city like Birmingham?
Not as high as you'd want. Last week they had about 12,000 in their in the stadium, only open half of the seats. So, and ironically opened the half of the seats that do not face the cameras.
Classic.
Of course, right? So
they've not watched WWE before.
I'm like, come on now, this doesn't make any sense. You should want the cameras facing the crowd, but who am I? What do I know? I'll be curious to see how this one plays out, though, with Talladega also this weekend. What does that crowd look like on Saturday night? Because obviously Saturday night's big party night down at Vegas. So We'll see, hopefully, but yeah, I mean, tickets as low as $10. If you're in the area, you should go. I mean, you can't beat $10 tickets to watch two-time defending champion Birmingham undefeated on the season, 3-0 so far, and just playing great. So,
see, you sold me right there. If I were in the area, and I've got some buds that still live in Beeham, I'll have to ask them, see if they're going to the game this weekend.
May 11th, I will definitely be at that game. That is week 7, and they're taking on St. Louis. Big day, but it's also Atlanta Braves Day, so Blooper will be in attendance, and you can take a picture with Bloop and all of that. So maybe we just need to take a trip, a show trip. Who knows?
Get the whole gang together.
The whole band together.
The whole band will be in attendance. Other quick highlights.
Hang out with Bucky and play poker. Wait, huh?
I've never actually played poker with Bucky.
We should. That'd be great.
I think if we all three pooled our money together, we might have enough. Allegedly, the man plays a lot of poker.
Yeah,
we could maybe get into a game with Sanford coach Bucky McMillan. Hey, we mentioned it earlier too. Also in Nashville this weekend, or excuse me, I did the same thing you did. Nashville is on the road. NSC is at Inter Miami. Feels like NSC has not played in forever. And they certainly haven't played at home, it feels like, in a while. They're not back at home till next Saturday. By the way, I ran through that crazy rundown next week. Think about that. NSC is also at home next Saturday night, and it's the Nashville Cats opener.
That's right.
Next weekend. So Nashville is going to be bumping next weekend with the Preds on Friday and Sunday. So looking forward to that. And while we're talking Nashville, if you're ever interested in checking out there we go again. I made the mistake. It's not motocross, but it's supercross. Not the 200-mile-an-hour racing you see on the streets, but more the 60-plus-mile-an-hour racing you see on dirt. Supercross is going to be at Nissan Stadium this weekend. I'll be working the event. I don't really know that I've ever pictured myself going to a Supercross event, but I'm going to be live and in concert tomorrow night, my friend. So vroom, vroom.
I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see your social media posts from said event.
Well, I was going to say, kind of similar to your first pitch video, I can almost promise you there will not be a video of me riding one of those things this weekend. But never say never. We shall see. And when years ago when I decided I wanted to get into this wild and crazy world of sports coverage, I didn't necessarily think I'd be covering dirt bike racing, but here we are. So looking forward to that. Real quick before we get you out of here, Preds come back next week, and we may not speak to you until game 1 for sure has been played, but maybe game 2. Does Nashville win a road game versus the Canucks in your mind?
Yes.
I'm trying not to be a homer, but I think they win at least one. Whether that's
game
1 or game 2,
I'm optimistic for 2.
Obviously, if you win the first one, conventional wisdom, some folks may say, let's just pack it in and get ready for game number 2 or get back for game 3, take the 1-1 split. I say if you get the first one, let's just go for broke and try and get up 2-0 at that point. And
I agree.
I think it will be interesting. We mentioned Mo will be back next week. We obviously will have our usual stable full of guests. Next Thursday will be the opening night of the NFL draft. Chris, thank you for
plenty
all
of coverage on that one next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll have a jam-packed guest list coming up for you guys. But Chris, thank you so much for all of your hard work, both behind the scenes and on camera this week. It means a lot to me and to all of our viewers.
Glad to be here. Glad you guys would have me, and looking forward to seeing you next week sometime.
Should be good. Thanks again to Chris Yao. Thanks to producer Mark Rogers. I'm Wade Neely saying so long. This has been Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. We will see you next week. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your weekend. See you next time.